15th verse. करमुरलीरव वीजित कूजित लज्जित कोकिल मंजुमते मिलित पुलिंद मनोहर गुंजित रंजित शैल निकुंजगते निज गण भूत महाशबरी गण सद्गुण संभृत केलितले जय जय हे महिषासुर मर्दिनि रम्य कपर्दिनि शैलसुते. 15th verse. So immediately at the outset, you look at this verse and imagine Devi as this lady who is in the wild. She is not wild, but she is in the wild, in the forest, like a tribal lady. Visualize Devi that way. Not a very sophisticated palace living empress or queen. No, she is somebody who is very earthy or very one of the reasons why Krishna is called Vanamali, because he wears the flowers around his as a garland, as a mala. But what flowers does he wear? He wears the vana, flowers from the forest, wild flowers. It's called Vanamali. What does it represent? It's not like this gentle jasmine or what do we mallipu. We women keep. It's like very gentle and very domesticated flowers. No, he would wear very wild flowers, which means that grow in the wild, in the forest. And what it shows is that he is part of nature. He is part of the he is not something or someone that can be contained within a domestic environment. So this verse is also depicting Devi in that way. So just visualize Devi like I remember this. Of course, in Bombay, we have not seen many of them, but in Chennai, I have seen Amma would call the Korati abdin choluva. Korati, term used for these women who come and cities lala they come around, and I think kuri choluvala they do that also, right? I don't know, but these are ladies who are pretty much tribal in their living styles, and when they come into the cities, they sell small articrafts and handicrafts they make. They come and sell to make a living. But then you look at them, they are, they'll have a lot of bangles, they'll wear different kinds of ornaments which are very earthy in nature, not the sophisticated diamonds of Malabar. They'll not be wearing stuff like that. They'll be ornamented. They'll be fully ornamented. They'll have ornamentation all over. Netti chutti. They'll also have tattoos. You notice these ladies, they'll have tattoos, different parts of their arms and their body, neck and all that. Because they carry that as an ornamentation. Why? Because they are of they recognize themselves with nature very closely. So here Devi, although she is a Maharagni, right? She is the Mahishasura Mardini. He's a empress who's coming and killing all the asuras. Here the composer Adi Shankara is relishing her presence as this lady who is of the wild, right? She is from the in fact one of I don't know which one of Muruga's wife is like a tribal lady, right? Devayane is
Valli Kurati.
Valli, is it? Okay, Valli is the wife who is a tribal person, who is, so they are very natural in the way they are, the way they approach things, in the way they look at things. It's not, they don't carry the complications of the urban society. They're very straightforward in the way they speak, they communicate, they whatever they do, right? So here Devi, imagine in this verse, she is compared, or she's not, she is seen as this lady. So how does it start? It says Kara Murali Rava Vijita Kujita. So Kara Murali Rava. So Kara in the hand, Murali, the flute, Rava, the sound made of the moved from the flute, Vijita Kujita. It means it is dampened. Vijita means to become wet or damp, and Kujita is to become distorted, not very clear. Vijita Kujita. Then Lajjita Kokila Manjumate. So, so what it says is that Devi's voice is so sweet. Her natural voice is so sweet that the sound that is rising from the flute is dampened by her voice. Her voice, in comparison, dampens the voice or the sound that comes out of the flute, and it puts the kokila or the cuckoo's singing to shame. Lajjita kokila manjumate. So the kokila that is singing out of delight, it's supposed to sound very beautiful. That sound is put to shame by Devi's voice. Lajjita means put to shame. It is similar to Nijasallapa Madhurya Vinirbharsita Kachapi Mandasmita Prabhapura. There is a verse in Lalita Sahasranama.
Majjat Kamesha Manasa.
Ajjat Kamesha Manasa. So, Nijasallapa Madhurya Vinirbharsita Kachapi Mandasmita Prabhapura Majjat Kamesha Manasa. So, what it means is the Kachapi is the Veena of Saraswati. So the Veena of Saraswati is supposed to be the sweetest. But when Devi, so the scene is Saraswati is playing the Veena and Rajarajeshwari is sitting and listening. And out of joy, out of the joy she is in, aha, அப்படின்னு வரும்ல. So this is like aha that comes out of Devi's mouth. Listening to that aha, Saraswati keeps the Veena down. He says, oh my God, this voice is so sweet. My Veena is nothing. The sound of the Veena is so pale in comparison to this voice. So Saraswati herself. So this is the kind of comparison that is shown. Kachapi is the Veena instrument of Saraswati, and it's known to create extremely pleasing sounds, music. So in the same way here, saying that Devi's voice is so beautiful that the cuckoo's voice that is coming, cuckoo's voice is a natural voice, right? This again I've experienced in Chennai. We used to, when we were in very new, we had started working. During summers, we will go and sleep on the terrace. Mottamadila poi. We were all bachelor boys because it's so hot. If you sleep inside the house, we didn't have air conditioning and all that at that time. So the heat that builds up during the day will all come inside the living room during the night. So it's very difficult. Sometimes you try to put water and all that, but it'll still not work enough. So we'll decide to go, we'll put water in the terrace itself and then rooftop, and then we will sleep. We'll put this thing and then whatever mattress, and then we'll sleep on the terrace, the rooftop. In the morning, you don't need an alarm. These cuckoos will come around there.
இங்க கோயம்புத்தூர்ல மயில் குருஜி
மயில் வரும். ஐயோ, மயில் வந்து sound is very
3:30-4 மணிக்கெல்லாமே எழுப்பிடும்.
And I'd say it is not very pleasant. The mile sound is definitely, peacock doesn't sound pleasant. The cuckoo is at least like a pleasant sound. It's like, you know, it always reminds me of an alarm, the cuckoo sound. So it goes in a way
இப்பவும்
that
வருது மெட்ராஸ்ல.
huh?
இப்பவும் மெட்ராஸ்ல வருது குக்கூஸ்
இருக்கும்.
வந்துட்டு இருக்கு.
I'm sure.
இருக்கு.
So and our building used to have a lot of vegetation around trees and plants and all that. So cuckoos will come. It's pleasing in the morning, of course, but an alarm you can turn it off. This cuckoo you can't turn off. It'll keep going till you wake up and go. But it's quite pleasing to hear. And it's a natural sound. What he's saying is the natural sound of a cuckoo is also put to shame by Devi's voice, the sound that comes from Devi. And the flute also, the music of the flute is dampened. Kara Murali Rava, the flute in the hand. Vijita Kujita, Lajjita Kokila Manjumate. Milita Pulinda. So, Pulinda means see, one who is of the mountains. Pahadi அப்படினு சொல்லுவா. In Hindi, those who live in the mountains, they are called as Pahadi. So she here is represented as a Pahadi. And so she brings along a group of, she brings them together. Manohara Gunjita Ranjita Shaila Nikunjagate. Shaila, is again a mountain. And so what does she do? She actually keeps singing or humming. Manohara Gunjita. Manohara is very pleasing to listen. Gunjita means she hums. Ranjita Shaila, very colorful mountain. Nikunjagate. Where does she do this? In the Ranjita Shaila, which means this beautiful mountain. Nikunja Gate. Nikunja means a very thick forested area. While walking there, she is singing Manohara Gunjita, with whom? Milita Pulinda, with all the other mountain people. So you read the second line first. Milita Pulinda, with bringing together all the mountain people together. Manohara Gunjita, humming beautiful sounds. Ranjita Shaila, on the beautiful mountain. Nikunja Gate, keeps walking in the dense forested areas. And this voice, this sound that she is making, now you read the first line. Karamurali Rava Vijita Kujita Lajjita Kokila Manjumate. So as she is going around like this, humming, singing beautifully, this voice of Devi is now putting to shame the cuckoo's voice. So visualize, as I said, this is Devi in her very natural form in the woods. Okay. And then the next one is Nijagana Bhuta. So in some places it's Nijaguna Bhuta, in some places it is Nijagana, right? So, but we can kind of interpret it either ways or look at it either ways. But Nijagana is my own group or tribe, right? Bhuta Mahashabari Gana. So what is her Bhuta? What is her Gana? Her group is the Shabari Gana. Shabari also means tribal. Shabari is this woman who appears in the Ramayana. But that woman the name is, so I think there are references made some places where her actual name was not Shabari. Shabari was the caste or the tribe that she belonged to. She belonged to a Bhil tribe, but then they were known as Shabaris, something like that. So Shabari is not necessarily.
Is it because of Shakambari?
Shakambari is vegetation. Could be.
Maybe they wear
plants for clothing. I don't know. Not for sure. Not sure. But Shabari here is essentially the people who live as tribes in the wild. So Shabari Gana is her Nija Gana. Her own tribe or her people are the Shabari Gana. Mahashabari Gana, Sadguna Sambhrita Kelitale. So she is, and these are people of good natured people, Sadguna. So, which is why the guna here, Sadguna, can also be applied earlier as Nija Guna, which means these people are same as Devi, the same guna as Devi herself. The tribe or this people carry the same guna as Devi's guna, Sadguna. Sambhrita Kelitale. Sambhrita are they carry this Sadguna and they are sporting or playing Kelitale. So they are sporting at the foothills or the mountain at the base of the mountain or whatever, at the Shila. Keli Tale. So they're playing and rejoicing. Now, this is now what has happened is, if you notice, the previous verse was about Devi's forehead. If you remember, Kamala Dalamala Komala Kanti Kala Kalita Mala Phalalate. It is about her forehead and how it is shining and her face is shining and all of that, right? This was around that. And how we spoke about the blue water lily and the bees, how the sound of the bees are there around her face, similar to what in Saundarya Lahari, Mahakavi Kalidasa makes a reference. Sandrikaran Bhuta Mandra Tantri Sware Bhasware. You remember in in Shamala Dandakam, he makes a reference how the bees come around the cheeks and the face of Devi. Sambhranta, by completely getting misguided. They are trying to go towards a flower, but they are misguided and they come towards the cheek of Devi. They come towards the cheek of Devi. Srividyaji, can you pull out that particular verse ma, while we continue? It's a very beautiful verse. So the bees are going away, but they get distracted and they come towards the cheek of Devi because it is so enticing, and they get Sambhranta, Bringangana Gita. So the sound of this bees coming together, that sounds like Mandra Tantri Sware. It sounds like the low tone of the Veena. So the idea was, the previous verse was kind of bringing that, her face, the beauty of the face and how everything is drawn to her.
நான் பார்த்துட்டேன். சொல்லலாமா?
சொல்லுங்க.
प्रोल्लसत् वालिका मौक्तिक श्रेणिका चंद्रिका मंडलोद्भासी लावण्य गंडस्थल न्यस्त कस्तूरिका पत्र रेखा समुद्भूत सौरभ्य संभ्रांत भृंगांगना गीत सांद्री भवन मंद्र तंत्री स्वरे सुस्वरे भास्वरे.
Beautiful, that line. Oh my God. It's amazing. So we discussed at length that particular verse in Shamala Dandakam. But just the visualization, their imagination is so brilliant, the way Mahakavi Kalidasa has done. So in that same way, in the previous verse, the whole focus is brought to Devi's face and the forehead. In this verse, the focus is brought to Devi's voice and the way Devi herself is, the form. And the next verse will go to Devi's toenails, Nakha. So what is it? These three verses, the previous one, this one, and the next one, are describing Devi's form in a way. So here what the composer is doing is he's trying to bring our minds to that form of Devi where she is. In the previous few verses, we saw her as this mother or this Raudrini enjoying like a sport and killing asuras, killing all the daityas and asuras and all of them in the battlefield. And then Chandramama fastest finger first. Right. So this way the whole imagery of Devi was in our minds is this empress or queen or warrior who's in the battlefield doing all of this. Now the mind is now brought to a place where you look at her as this beautiful natural person who is living in the wild, in the mountains, going around and playing with the tribal folks. And Mahashabarigana. So what it says, Nijagana, my people are these Shabarigana. My people are these Shabarigana, or those tribes are usually referred to as the fourth caste. In the caste system, if at all you go look at the caste in terms of the way where they're positioned, is the Shudra caste. So in terms of that also, here the author is trying to, or the Adi Shankar or the composer is trying to bring our attention to say that she is not just this warrior or this Devi of the higher caste people or the elite in society. She is also of them. She is also theirs. Right? So it's an interesting shift that the composer is bringing to show that she is not particularly classified as any particular one, right? She is also a Kshatriya, as a warrior. She is also the one on which the Munigana, all the sages and saints meditate upon. Rishigana, Munigana, and the Siddhas, all of them meditate upon this Devi. And she is also the one who is amongst the mountain people, the tribal people, right? And then she moves around them in the most natural form. And to show that she is in that natural form, she is completely natural, to show that it is being said that her voice is better than the cuckoo's voice. Her voice is better than the voice that you consider as the sweetest in nature. Right? She's more natural than what you consider as what is there in nature. So there is a certain kind of a unison that she is depicting in being part of nature. Now this is also important from a very interesting place, is that one is, as a warrior, you are engaged in terms of the activities of trying to defeat and kill enemies, so on and so forth, so that you are on top of your tendencies. Enemies, always remember, they are your tendencies. Yesterday also we spoke about tendencies, right? How our tendencies always take the better of us. So we are constantly in this war or fight to try to keep the tendencies under our control. We try to stay above the tendencies. This is the process. This is the attempt, right? And it's a very arduous and a very how do you put this? It's a very tiring process. See, a lot of times whenever we say sadhana, it becomes very tiring because it feels like an activity that you have to do in order to get over the tendencies, in order to stay right, be dharmic, be righteous, be on the spiritual path, always think of Bhagavan. All of this becomes very exhausting, right? Sometimes if I feel like, I just want to go sit down somewhere, I just want to relax, I just want to. Sometimes it can become exhausting. Just the sadhana that we all take upon ourselves, after a point in time, it can possibly become exhausting because it's done with a lot of effort. And which is what has happened in the last few verses, where Devi is shown as this constantly engaging in the world, putting a lot of effort. But now there is a slight shift that is shown here in the personality. It is shown that she is Keli Tale, she is playful. She is enjoying, she's going around the Ranjita Shaila, going around the beautiful mountain with the mountain people in the wild, just being free. While being in the wild also means that you're free. You're not constrained by any codes. You're not necessarily constrained by the laws or the codes of this is the way you have to live, this is what you have to do, this is how you have to be. You're just being your natural self. So a lot of times this check is also important for us. We need to take a step back. Am I expecting too much of myself? Am I becoming very stiff in my own perception? Am I becoming very stiff and very rigid? It is important to do sadhana. It is important to be regimented. It is important to have a resolve. It is important to do things. But once in a while, it's important to take a break, a short break, and then also sit back and relax and enjoy. Because imagine, as much as the destination is important, the ride is also important. If you're going in a flight to a place and the destination portugal, if you're going to hold the chair like this and put the seat belt tight and hold like that, by the time you get down, you'll need a massage. Your body will be paining.
Stretcher வேண்டியிருக்கும்.
Stretcher. You'll God forbid, you'll need a stretcher. So much of tension. So it is important to remember that it is also a joyful ride. Because at the end, what you are expecting, that I want joy, bliss, peace, liberation, all of that. These are nice words we want at the end of it. But how can the journey be painful? So we need to do this reset. It will be painful because there is a lot of unwinding we need to do. Because our joys and the pleasures we have associated to the physical, we have associated to the temporary, we have associated to what you see as objects in the world, the people in the world, we are associated to that. So it's important to have a certain regiment. But at the same time, it's important to also step back a little bit. And which is why I always recommend, if you're taking up a practice, don't take a practice for a lifetime because it will break. இனிலேந்து நான் இன்னுமே இப்படிதான் இருக்க போறேன் அப்படிலாம் nothing. You will become like a Bhishma Pitama. Right? The problem with Bhishma Pitama, he became this rigid thing that started bothering everybody else, not just himself. Everybody else became disturbed by that. Although all that he did was dharmic. There's no adharma he did. According to him, there is no adharma. He was absolutely dharmic. But he forgot to enjoy the ride. So அவருக்கு என்ன ஸ்ட்ரெச்சர் கிடைச்சது கடைசியில? He got a arrow stretcher.
அம்பு படுக்க.
He got a stretcher on.
அதுலயும் சுகம் இல்ல. அதுலயும் அவஸ்தை தான்.
Exactly. That is also painful. Because he forgot to enjoy the ride. Which is why for us it's important to, why Krishna has become so popular. Krishna is extremely popular because of this reason. He constantly reminds us, be steadfast on your sadhana, but also enjoy. Enjoy life, live life. Because when you turn back, otherwise all you will have is like, no, itana 40 varshama idu pannene appadithaan irukum. That is all that will remain. Like in Baba movie, this guy, what's his name? Delhi Ganesh. I've also been going to Kalikambal for 40 years. I've been doing this for 40 years. Baba didn't come to me, he came to this guy. This is how it will be. Because when you look back, it will feel like, oh my God, I missed the ride. So here in this verse, Devi is showing us that enjoy the ride. Be free. Feel the freedom. Start feeling freedom. Freedom is not a destination. You have to remember this. It is not like I turn on the light and then light has come like that suddenly one day. Till now I'm not free, not free, not free, free. It's not like that. Freedom does not happen as a switch on, switch off thing. Because what you are, essentially that essence of what you are remains. Like the Pirangaya Dabba. Right? The Dabba that had asafoetida, it'll contain that fragrance or that smell of that thing for a very long time. That needs to dissolve slowly. So, as much as it is important to have sadhana built into the way we conduct ourselves, extremely important to take a break and also look at it with a different perspective. Look at the purpose with which is being done. Look at the reason for which something is being done. And if that recalibration doesn't happen, then you will get stuck in the process. So, which I was saying, if you take up a sadhana, take up for a mandala. Do it for 48 days, 42 days, 48 days. And then take a break. 1 week, 2 weeks break. Give yourself break. Tell that, okay, excellent, it was great. And during the mandala, you take a resolve, don't break it. Doesn't matter whatever happens. Whether we are traveling, we are flying, going here, this happened, that happened, somebody died in my family, somebody died there, somebody was born. All that will keep happening. Don't break your resolve. Right? It's very fulfilling.
Guruji, you should also enjoy that enjoyment should be like sattva.
It is a dharmic enjoyment.
Dharmic enjoyment. Like for example, let us say, listen to some nice music, enjoy it, or look for a dance and enjoy it, or ஒரு க்ஷேத்திரம் போனோம், அங்க அந்த கோயில் எல்லாம் பார்த்து ரசிச்சோம், அந்த மாதிரி என்ஜாய்மெண்ட் தார்மிக் இல்லையா?
Yeah. In a way, see, when I say dharmic, what I mean to say is it should not set your sadhana backwards. That is important. We shouldn't say, okay, 10 days I have now, let me go clubbing for the next 10 days. Appa, 42 days, 48 days, sadhana done, now I'll go. And the Pampa, people do this.
சபரிமலைக்கு போயிட்டு வந்துட்டு அப்படிதான் பண்ணுவாங்க எல்லாரும்.
Sabarimala, exactly. This is very sad. They'll take this 40-day vrata, Sabarimala, they will sleep on the floor, they will not wear anything, they will eat this thing, that they will not eat, they'll not speak bad words, they'll put mala, they'll be like this, like that, all they will do. The moment they see in Guru Ayyappan, and then they come back, when they come back, they will already be carrying bottles of liquor. And a lot of people have complained that there are bottles of liquor found while going up near the Pampa Nadi and all that for the returning crowd. So it becomes very, so then that is also, it's not very clear why they do that, right? You do that as a ritual. We are not talking about ritual. Maybe your friends are doing because it's fun to do, it is nice to do once a year, your body is cleansing, somebody told it. Like again, Gayatri is saying for Ramadan, when people do, we need to necessarily know that with every mandala, I am getting better in what I am trying to become. And if you set your back,
it's not detached from the mind, only from the body for the 40 days.
Correct. That is what happens, right? If you're only doing it as a ritual. So the idea is the larger goal needs to be there. You can't lose sight of the larger goal. What I mean by relax, what I mean by being free, trying to rest, is become flexible, become a little review. Very important in any form of sadhana is to sit back and review. How did it go? What did I do right? Was it right? Was it okay? Is this the right way to go about it? Do I need to alter? Do I need to look at it differently? This review needs to happen. And during that review, you're also relaxing. See, what you're doing is you're taking stock of things and how did it go? And you're also relaxing and enjoying the moment. You're saying that, let me just chill out now. And let me absorb the benefits of the sadhana. You're not doing it as a ritual. The sadhana is not imposed upon you by somebody. It is something you have taken upon yourself. Say, I'm going to do Ramanama Japa 1008 times per day for the next 42 days. Take it. 42 days, don't break. And after that, sit back and you just enjoy ruminate upon the joys. Oh, it is so fulfilling. It is so nice. It is all of that. And then process and then plan for the next sadhana. But this break time, just feel the joy that you be received in that sadhana. Feel that freedom, that yes, the sadhana has given me understanding, freedom, joy, peace, bliss. It's given me all that I'm looking for. It has given me, we have to tell ourselves. We tell ourselves that I have received this knowledge, this joy. I'm now having clarity of perception. I can see things much more clearly. I feel much more at peace with myself. All of these things we have to evaluate and establish within ourselves during that period of break. So this is where the composer has introduced this idea of Devi looking at being this free. Once she is a Kshatriya who's got this immense responsibility of clearing of all the enemy, the asuras. She's carrying an immense responsibility on her shoulders of killing all the asuras. But at the same time, now suddenly she is shown as this joyful, playful, like the gopis. So you can also think of the gopis in this context, right? Radha and the gopis. Right? Joyfully playing. So this is also important. We should recognize the importance of this. Yes, Mama.
It was ecstatic, like walking in the streets of Mathura chanting Radhe Radhe.
Vrindavan,
It was
yeah.
so ecstatic. And I could imagine how the gopis were enjoying.
Yeah, Nidhivan. We went to Nidhivan. Imagine the Ras Leela that used to happen at the night, right? Still continues to happen, they believe. So that joy needs to, see, I can't do my sadhana and I'm frowning. No point. If my sadhana has to have any reflection on how I am, it needs to bring me a little joy. It needs to bring, how does it come? Sadhana is an enabler, but my sankalpa is key there. My sankalpa is key. My resolve is key. So this is something that we need to continuously evaluate and keep moving. Right? So we need to remember that we do this, we pick this up, and then we take a stock of where we are, and then we pick up the next one, and this is how we go. Right? So what is, now looking at this again, what does it say? Karamuralirava vijita kujita lajjita kokila manjumate milita pulinda manohara gunjita ranjita shaila nikunjagate nijagana bhuta mahashabarigana sadguna sambhrita kelithale jaya jaya he Mahishasura Mardini ramya kapardini shaila sute. So again visualize the joy that she is having. She was having, by the way, Devi was having joy while she was killing the asuras also. We spoke about that, right? There also she was Manjumate, Ranjite, and all that. Um, uh, she was in joy while she was doing that. And now also she is in that state of joy. But for us, it becomes a little difficult, right? When we are in the midst of a lot of things that we're doing, it becomes difficult for us to experience that joy. So take a step back, experience that, recalibrate yourself. Am I being more peaceful? Like Gurudev Paramahansa Yogananda will say, the only measure of spiritual sadhana, the measure is for yourself. Somebody will not come and tell. For your own self to know is, am I feeling a little more peaceful? Am I feeling a little more joyful? Am I feeling a little more contented? Contentment. Am I feeling a little more contentment within myself? So a little more of these things, am I feeling a little more of that, is the measure of your own sadhana. Nobody has to come and tell you that, oh, I can see this sadhana tejas on you, you're bright and glowing. Right? This joy should be welling inside. Am I, like from since last 6 months ago now, am I feeling a little more joyful? 1 year ago, am I feeling joyful, or am I feeling miserable? This evaluation needs to happen. So, which is what Devi in this form is trying to show, that enjoy the ride of life joyfully. It may not be so all the time, but it is good to re-establish and make that sankalpa. As much as we make a sankalpa to do sadhana, which is extremely important, we make a sankalpa also to just relax and chill and be joyful. Right? So we'll just chant this one more time and then we'll close for today. So as I'm reading or chanting this, just visualize this joyful form. And also, like Mama was pointing out, in Vrindavan streets, you're walking and singing Radhe Radhe or whatever. Just visualize in your own way how you feel this joy of being free, of being blissed out. Right? करमुरलीरव वीजित कूजित लज्जित कोकिल मंजुमते मिलित पुलिंद मनोहर गुंजित रंजित शैल निकुंजगते निजगण भूत महाशबरी गण सद्गुण संभृत केलितले जय जय हे महिषासुर मर्दिनि रम्य कपर्दिनि शैलसुते। ओम कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि। जगदम्बिकायेति समर्पयामि। सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि। हरि ओम तत्सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम गुरुदेवा। हरि ओम।